Winners finals. Going into our match between Stormwatch and Team Predators on Canyon Ambush. First off, for Stormwatch, we have a sandwich. Clouded by Finks, it is a Center Hades Mobula, supplemented by 2 Artemis with Light Carronade Flamethrower for close range. Their ally, the Flak Love. Hwacha Heavy Flak Gatling Galleon. With a left side, Hwacha Heavy Carronade and a rear Mine Launcher, piloted by Alorn. For Team Predators, we have the Saint Glaswegian Kiss. It is a Light Carronade Artemis Pyramidion, left side Flamethrower Flare Gun, piloted by Mighty Keb. And finally, we have the Bobula, piloted by Princess Tutu. It is a Center Hades Mobula, Light Carronade, Flamethrower, Artemis. So we see both teams bringing interesting builds. I mean, between the Caro art of the Predators and the Hwacha Gatling Flak Gallet close range monster galleon. But neither team confident enough to go without their trusty Hades Mobulas. So we'll see. We'll see how these very strange team compositions end up doing. Unfortunately, this is Canyon Ambush, so both the teams make it to the opposite side of the map without getting any contact or seeing each other. So we're gonna have a little bit of a delay before these teams make it into a fight. It looks like Red Team not so sure of the positioning of Team Predators. They're poking out a little bit. They don't know if maybe they're hanging back in the blue spawn. At the same time, the Predators have already cleared the red spawn, so they'll probably be on their way back through center map. Or possibly they're just gonna wait in red spawn and hope to ambush them. Which I hope they don't do, because that could take a very long time. You know, I don't know what happens if a game ends 0-0, but I'm sure the result would not be satisfactory for everyone. Red Team very slowly poking into the opposing spawn point. It looks like they also may be waiting to ambush their opponents as they come back through the canyons. So looking at these team compositions, the Mobula, the Galleon really wants to engage in the canyons. They do not want to start losing. It's probably the most vulnerable of all these ships because they have those heavy weapons, and if they start losing them to the Artemis of the Bobula, Bobula, they're going to be totally useless in this fight. You know, at the same time, Pyramidion being so squishy, positioning is going to be very important for the allies of these two mobs. So important, in fact, that both teams are refusing to move from their respective ambush points. Glaswegian Kiss turning for some reason. I imagine they're probably going to focus the Galleon when they come in, that Carronade Artemis. I mean, if they can knock out the Galleon's balloon, That's going to be pretty rough for Stormwatch. It's a particularly... It's... So the Carronade Artemis. Pyramidion. It's a build that I believe was popularized by... Actually, now I'm sure if I say it, I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm not... Popularized by somebody. I was going to say Princess Tutu, but that may not be correct. The idea being, this was really designed to kind of counter the goldfish, when the goldfish was kind of rising up. Carronade is both good against the balloon and good against heavy weapons. A little worse now since the nerf, but that flechette shatter damage makes it a reasonable disabler, and paired with the Artemis to take out, you know, any other guns or take out the engine. There's logic behind it. The main problem is, one, that the Pyramidion is not a very... It's a squishy ship. It doesn't have very much armor, doesn't have very much health. It doesn't have good close-range maneuverability. It's fairly slow. And it also has a very large vulnerable hitbox. So unless you get an immediate disable and your ally is able to deal with the other ship, you really cannot be taking much incoming damage on this build. Because the other issue is it does not kill very quickly. You know, the light Carronade and the Artemis, they're both, you know, decent disabling weapons, but they don't have very much DPS. So once you have a ship locked down, you need a little time to actually be able to get the kill. Usually having to use the assistance of maybe a ram when you finally crack the hull armor. It's one of those divisive builds. Personally, I don't think it's particularly great, but it can be effective against certain ships. And the Galleon definitely something that's fairly vulnerable to both of those guns. It does have a large vulnerable balloon. It does have all those heavy weapons that are clustered together that are very vulnerable to Artemis disable. Let me just check. No, red team has moved about 500 feet. Although it does look like they are advancing into the canyon, so very, very slowly. No doubt held back by the Galleon. They will never be able to... I mean, that's one of the disadvantages to bringing a Galleon, is that it takes a very long time to move your formation across the map, because you are limited by the close range maneuverability, or the every time the Galleon has to, you know, move around one of these obstacles, they lose all their momentum, and it takes a lot of momentum to move a ship of that size. It does look like we might have a fast engagement here. The St. Glaswegian Kiss, they have been flaring the eastern side, so they might get an early spot on Stormwatch as they peel around this corner. This is actually fairly well timed because we do have a cloud coming in. They might be able to position the Galleon into close range. No, just a little too early. Mobula's, or Sandwich, looks like Sandwich targeting Glaswegian Kiss, but Mobula targeting the Galleon. The Galleon's not going to be able to do anything really at this range aside from tank damage, since they do have all those close range weapons. And you know, at the same time, the Sandwich, like, we sort of have an even fight between the two Mobulas, because the Glaswegian Kiss, they do have that Artemis, but that is the only weapon that they will be able to contribute in a mid to long range engagement. So both teams sort of have a reason to try to close the distance, but both teams want to have the element of surprise. They want to get the first volley off, so neither wants to just charge into the sniping lanes of their opponent, which is sort of, we're going to have a little bit of a dance back and forth to see if one of either the Stormwatch or Team Predators, they both want to find an opening. St. Glaswegian Kiss has separated from his ally. Looks like they're going to use the firepower of the Mobula to distract the Stormwatch, while the Glaswegian Kiss, they're going to go for that surprise. I do wonder, are they actually going to go through this? No. I don't actually think you can go through this gap. But... Alright, Glasswegian Kiss, it does... Alright, they might be potentially baiting red team forward. And so far, red is taking the bait with the Bobobula taking cover. Sandwich is following. Oh no, but the blue team doesn't know that. They're not moving into position to take advantage of what could potentially be an ambush, but Galleon taking a little bit of a bump, slowing him down. Sandwich is spotted. And if blue team was farther up, they could potentially get a really fast kill on this red Mobula, but not quite ready for it. Shots going out on both sides. Flaklove about to enter the fray. He's charging forward. Let's see if we can get a left side volley. Left side guns already going down. Yeah, without the Sandwich lending support to this fight, Sandwich coming back in, but Flaklove is just going to have so much difficulty keeping their guns up, just barely eking out a Hwacha on the Glasswegian Kiss. Armor going down, the firepower from the Mobula killing the squishy Pyramidion. At the same time, the Bobobula has pushed the Sandwich back, taking on their whole armor. Flamethrowers coming out from both sides. I'm sure this is incredibly annoying for the engineers on both these Mobulas. Flaklove lending a little bit of Galling fire, but unfortunately, they're so far back, and they have all close-range guns, they're not going to be able to really lend any support for this fight. As Galleon, your positioning has to be so tight when you have a Galleon as your ally, because if you charge forward like that, they're not going to be, especially if they're a close-range Galleon. That's one of the, excuse me, I'm lagging a bit. Let me stabilize my connection. Sandwich has respawned. They were fighting on red's side of the map, which is going to work in red's favor, although Flaklove's still out of position. Big ram from the Sandwich, smashing him against the rock. Oh my god, would my residential internet connection please start working again? God. Both the red ships are moving forward. They are pursuing St. Glasswegian's Kiss into their spawn. Bobobula taking a fairly far back spawn. Alright, there... Looks like... Alright. Connection has stabilized, so the stream should be coming back up. Red team is... we did see a sick ram from Sandwich smashing the Bobobula, forcing Team Predators out of their spawn. Now, Stormwatch has been pursuing them forward across the map, where you're going to see a close... not close range. We are going to see both teams kind of poking out of the cannon entrance. Man, it's always so distracting when your connection starts lagging. I need to get back focused here. Flaklove moonshining forward. It looks like he's going to be going for a flank on the Bobobula. But Bobobula is going to be ready for him. Let's see if he can get some Artemis disables. Hwacha stays up. Not the best Hwacha. Not taking down any of the... Or I guess one gun of the Bobobula, but for their troubles, they're going to lose their own hull armor. Glasswegian Kiss moving forward. Carronade coming into effect. Not really doing anything. Being slightly annoying to the Sandwich. Babobula splitting their fire between the two ships, it looks like. Or are they going to focus the Flak Glove here? I'm not sure if this is the best decision, because the Flak Glove is going to be the tankier of the two ships. It's going to take longer to go down. Although they might be able to get him here now that they're isolated from their ally, Hades, double Artemis, taking down the Galleon. Keeping their guns suppressed with that shatter damage. And now the Sandwich is in a real bad spot. They're going to lose their balloon, which is actually working in their favor a little bit, because the Babobula has such a heavily damaged balloon. It's going to take a long time for them to equalize the vertical distance and get back into this fight. But I think the St. Glaswegian Kiss is going to be more than enough to take out this the Sandwich by themselves. Especially now that the Hades is coming back in. Glaswegian Kiss scheming for that ram, but Mobula dying before they even reach them. So we do have Team Predators taking their first lead of this match. We'll see if either of these teams decides they want to move closer into the canyons. I mean, Flak Glove, I know Stormwatch definitely wants to, because they need the surprise factor with the Flak Glove. They cannot fight in open air because they're going to lose their heavy weapons to the Artemis so quickly. And they only have those close range guns. But if they can get an ambush, if they can find a way to surprise the Predators, I mean, the left side of the Flak Glove can take down the ship so quickly. I mean, Gatling heavy flak does a absurd amount of damage. I do wonder if they have lock for that heavy flak. It looks like they do. Although, well, I mean, based on the ammo types of this crew, I'm not quite sure who's on the portable Grump. Bringing charged clip would imply that he was on the heavy flak and carronade, but Bronth does have that lock, so that is something we might see. And a lock heavy flak will kill a Pyramidian in one shot at basically anything. As long as the ships are far enough away to not actually be touching, then arming time will be active. Red team now going to be venturing pretty far into blue side of the map. They will find the blue has already left and has once again gone to red side of the map. Unsurprising for sure. But it does mean that I get to fill more time, and I think that's exciting for everyone. As blue team takes up position. A little bit of a bump there. See, both teams want to surprise the other, but they're not going to, because they know the other team's going to do the same thing. So we have two ambushes set up and nobody there to fall into it. At this point, it's a war of attrition, and with Team Predators having that 1-point lead. Oh, apparently the timer is actually about to. We have only 2 minutes left on the match timer, so considering that Team Predators have the kill lead, they will win the game if the match timer expires, so the onus is on red to make something happen. And they're taking their good time. Galleon flying backwards for some reason. You know this ship is slower when it's flying backwards, right? You know, you have a little bit of time pressure here. You really need to get going. First spot's going down onto red team. Blue is already in position to start unleashing the sniper shots. Sandwich already about to lose their whole armor, taking quite a bit of damage. Balloons taking damage as well. That's going to limit their vertical mobility, make it harder for them to dodge subsequent shots. Black Glove coming in backwards. I don't... Maybe in some... an attempt to protect his guns, but it really doesn't work like that. Sandwich going to be moving forward, and the mash timer going to expire. It looks like that's going to be game for the Predators. They will move on to the grand finals, even getting that last kill just for funsies. Stormwatch, you know, a fairly close game, but playing a little too slowly perhaps. They will move to the losers bracket. They will play in the losers finals. And we will see that a little bit later.